Dada, while we may talk about the situation and the unique contributions of the organizer as a nationalist publication, it is not only a noted publication, it has also in its list of editors and contributors some of the stalwarts of the nationalist ideology in this country. What about the personalities associated with the organizer?
Smitha, I will talk about two of them, but before that, a very quick add-on to what Praful just now talked about, the organizer and Motherland sensing what was about to happen. It was not only the Bihar students movement or the Gujarat Navnirman movement. What had happened was Mrs. Indira Gandhi had initiated a public discussion, done very subtly with great sophistication, with the help of senior journalists, editors, intellectuals, etc., on the merits of guided democracy. So this whole idea was that it would be a single party elected democracy, but there would be no opposition worth its name, and democracy would be guided, because the argument was that development comes before democracy, and therefore it has to be rebalanced and re-equated. And amazingly, the model which was picked up, I think, if I remember correctly, was that of a particular African country where the ruler had to be finally evicted after decades in power. So everybody was horrified by the very suggestion that something like this could be considered for India, which civilizationally, culturally would never countenance something like this. But having said that, now about the personalities who were associated with the organizer and with Motherland, because Motherland was a unique newspaper. It was called the cradle of some of the finest journalists in the country. I mean, Kumi Kapoor comes from there, Virender Kapoor comes from there, a whole lot of others. K.R. Malkani was an institution, a single person institution. He was given a job in Hindustan Times, and they had specially asked the RSS to nominate somebody on their for their editorial team who would sort of bring in the national element in their reporting and coverage, and K.R. Malkani was sent over there. But K.R. Malkani resigns from Hindustan Times and joins as editor of Organizer. And what he does is that he transforms that paper, because as I explained to you, the Organizer was launched with a specific purpose, and then it had to transition to the independent India's concerns, and he made that transition amazingly. So it became the point which you are making, that the Organizer may not have had a huge subscriber base or a huge reader base, but people who mattered, people who have mattered throughout India's post-1947 history, they have been influenced, or they have taken into consideration what the Organizer says or writes. And K.R. Malkani made that possible. And later, of course, he goes on to launch the Motherland, etc., etc. And as Praful said, during emergency, he was one of the first to be picked up and put in jail. And the day after, like again, Praful said that they not only published Motherland, but they distributed the paper physically. Malkani-ji told me how there was a meeting which was called at one of the foreign missions, I won't name the country, for all mission heads in Delhi to come and discuss what was happening and this amazing, startling turn of events in India the morning after. And there was a huge queue of embassy cars parked outside the American embassy. And somebody from the team went around putting a copy of Motherland on the windscreen of every car. And
Can I come back to...
Yes, just
please,
one second.
Please make your point. Yes.
Then Delhi police was deployed to go running and collect every copy of the Motherland paper from the cars. Now, the other notable person who was associated with organizer was L.K. Advani.
Yes.
L.K. Advani joined the paper, I think, in 60s, and his initial role was that of a film critic. He was very fond of watching Hindi films. So Malkani ji said that you will get some money which will help you. And every week you have to produce a film review. And because of which, as you state, because of being appointed the film critic of the paper, you will get to see as many Hindi films as you want. And Advani ji was so thrilled that he happily took on that assignment. Later,
and I remember later in his life when he became a very senior politician, subsequently deputy PM of the country, on various gatherings and events, he would always remember to mention his humble beginning in the organizer, writing on film reviews for the newspaper and getting some pocket money in the process. But Dada, allow me to come back to Praful Ketkar because we've actually run out of time on the show.
Just give me 2 seconds.
Quickly.
And it's a tribute to Malkani ji.
Yes.
We must all remember it because he, Advani ji was so loyal to him. I mean, in the sense, there was such a, he almost worshipped Malkani ji. And Malkani ji is the only person in the Sangh, in the Bharatiya Jana Sangh, and later in the BJP, who actually called Advani ji by his first name.
Wonderful.